Shally, Shallow, Shally, Shallow, Shallow, Sheila,
Alright.
Lalo, Lali, Lala.
I'm streaming.
Ooh, streaming? You're streaming? Yeah, what you doing?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Gosh, golly.
Where's the controls?
Hey, you.
Hey. Okay,
Oh my god.
guess there's no option. Wait,
Oh my god.
maybe that?
Oh my god. What did you just say?
Feels like they might have done it. Might have gone diddly do it.
What'd you say?
Gone diddly do it.
What?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
Oh no.
he entered the door. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and
What's
Stanley
happening?
knew it perfectly well.
I'm
Perhaps
playing
he
a good
wanted to
game.
stop by the employee lounge
No,
first,
you're not.
just to admire it.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
This is an award-winning
Truly
game.
a room worth admiring. It had really been, but eager to get back to
No.
business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
What?
And
What
so
the
he
heck is this?
detoured through the maintenance section,
The heck is
walked
this,
straight
man?
ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
What the heck is this, dude?
Yet
Dude.
there was not a single person here
Dude, like,
either.
totally, dude.
Feeling a wave
This is
of
crazy,
disbelief,
dude.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. He might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it.
Hey.
He considered the
Yo.
possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He
Yo.
might be fired for that. And in
Hey,
such a
man,
competitive
what's up,
economy,
dude?
why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy.
Hey, man.
And then something
What's
occurred
up,
to Stanley.
Broski?
Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All
Hi,
of my
man.
co-workers
What do you
blinking
want, man?
mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make
man.
other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors
Are you
close
listening, man?
automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real.
Are you listening
And
to
at
me,
last,
man?
He came to the conclusion
I'm
that it had
talking
been on
over
the
you,
tip of his
man.
tongue.
You ain't
He
listening to me,
just
man.
hadn't found the words for it.
One listens
I'm
to the words loud
dreaming!
enough.
He yelled. This is all
What,
a
man?
dream! Oh, what a relief.
In Bangladesh, man.
To have finally found an answer, an
You
explanation.
got me?
His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job.
Is that what you
He
want,
wasn't
man?
crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job
Hello?
pushing buttons. I may as
Who,
well
what, where?
enjoy this while I'm still lucid.
Hello?
So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's
Hello?
head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head
Hello?
dictating everything that I'm
Hello?
doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange.
Now I'm hearing
I'm
voices in
dreaming
my
about
head.
a voice describing
I
me,
am
thinking
a
about
voice.
how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this
What are
voice
you
spoke
playing?
to all people in their dreams,
I'm playing the
the
parody.
truth was that, of
The
course,
Stanley.
this was not a dream. How could it be?
Already what?
Was Stanley simply
playing
deceiving
Stanley.
himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take
Stanley,
responsibility
what's
for himself?
that?
Stanley
It was
is
a
as
free
awake
game on
right
Epic.
now as he's ever been in
Long
his life.
time ago.
And
Now, hearing the voice speak these
you
words was quite
say
a
that's
shock
a
to Stanley.
good game?
After all,
Yeah.
he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My
What are you
life is
putting in there?
normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Oh,
And then he wakes up,
okay.
and shit's not okay.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
She left a dead body on the ground. What a bitch.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
You stupid thing. You stupid thing. You stupid thing. Stupid thing.
Descending deeper into the
A
building,
stupid
Stanley
thing.
realized
You know
he
about
felt a
that
bit
stupid thing?
peculiar. It was a stirring of
Bacon?
emotion in his
You know
chest,
what I'm
as though
saying?
he felt more free
Okay.
to think for himself,
Okay.
to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Ah,
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
mind control.
There's no freaking Leon mods.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
He fell and fell and fell even more.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content.
Okay.
Eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Resident Evil.
You would have put up.
Resident Evil 6.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Freedom?
Yes. He had won.
Oh,
He had
I got
defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
do 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 do.
Felt the cool breeze upon his skin. The The feeling of endless,
Ring.
the immense possibility of the new
What?
path before him.
Do
This
do
was
do
exactly the
do.
way,
Ring.
right now, that things were
Loading,
meant to
loading,
happen.
loading. Hello?
And Stanley was happy.
Blah, blah, blah.
Achievement. Beat the game. I beat the game. Just like that. I beat
Oh.
it.